Hi again, everyone, and thanks for being with us today as we take a look at this week's game. Georgia will make the road trip to Nashville, Tennessee to take on the Vanderbilt Commodores on Saturday at noon Eastern time. And we've got DJ Shockley and Eric Zier here to talk about it a little bit as the Dogs try to stay undefeated and improve to 2-0 in SEC play. They got off to a great start last week, guys, with that win over South Carolina, 1-0 now in the SEC, and 3-0 for the year and ranked number 2. Things are going pretty well for the Dogs thus far. What are your thoughts on how you've seen us play through the first 3 games? Shock, we'll start with you.
I think it just goes back to playing. I mentioned this last week, playing to the standard that you're supposed to. And for so many years, when you play opponents that on paper you're supposed to beat and you're supposed to beat handily, you kind of let them hang around, you let them, have some success. And then it takes until the midway through the third, fourth quarter for you to kick in and you finally start to win the ball game. But I thought Georgia has handled their business throughout the first 3 ball games, and especially in the last 2 when it could have been easily for you to get down. But I thought the atmosphere was unbelievable in Sanford Stadium on Saturday night, and I think the guys fed off of it. And it was good to see JT get in there and, throw it around a little bit and make some big plays and create some explosive plays down the field. Saw Kier's come back and catch a couple balls on offense last week. So we're slowly but steadily starting to get all our weapons back. And obviously the defense is still continuing to play at a super high level. And it makes it fun to watch. And I know Dog fans are excited about where this team is going.
Yeah, I would agree with Shock. I think, coming into this year, we knew we had a good football team, battling through some injuries. What's impressed me is how locked in this football team is, right? DJ just mentioned it, that since Kirby has gotten here, it's really about performing to our levels of excellence, to our standard, where you don't have the ups and downs every single week based on the competition that you're playing. This team is as ready to play as any team right now in the country. We're executing extremely well. I think that the other really neat thing to see right now is how offensively we are really beginning to get aggressive and get explosive, and make people pay when they put themselves in a position where we've got one-on-one matchups outside. So, more aggressive in terms of how we're calling the game on the offensive side. Defensively, these guys are locked in. I mean, they don't want to give up a point. And you can see it, the mentality, the physicality, the speed, the athleticism. They are playing extremely well, and it's something that I think is going to continue, because they're not reading their press clippings right now. And so long as that remains the case, this is going to be a hard team to beat.
Hey, Scott, let me add one last thing to that. To Z's point about the defense, I'm sure everybody saw and heard what Coach Beamer said after the ball game. I just thought that speaks volumes about, I'm sure that's what a lot of coaches feel coming into the ball game. And he probably was the one who, verbalized it the best. And I know a lot of coaches probably won't say that, but when teams had to prepare for this ball club, it matters. They look at all the depth that we have. They look at the experience. They look at the talent you have and say it's an uphill battle before you even step on the field with them. So I thought that was pretty funny to hear Coach Beamer talk about the Georgia defense that way.
So to follow up on that, do you feel like that's the way Vanderbilt is viewing this matchup this week? New coaching staff in Nashville. Clark Lee's in his first year as the head coach at his alma mater. They're off to a 1-2 start. They didn't win a game last year. They went 0-9. We didn't play last year. They canceled on us due to COVID. Is Vanderbilt looking at Georgia the same way that Shane Beamer in South Carolina did after the game?
Yeah, I'll start, I guess. I think absolutely. I think every team that we play is going. It's just really hard when you're in an opposing offense to find gaps in how you're going to attack a defense that can cover the way we can cover, right? So that the big question mark on the defense was, with a rebuilt secondary, how were they going to perform? And from the opening kickoff against Clemson, this secondary has played fantastic. And that was supposed to be the weakness of the team. and they are playing as well as anybody in the country right now. And then all of a sudden you go, or can we go run the ball when you've got Jordan Davis that's in there, 340 pounds, running the way he can run, a linebacker crew. It's that is, maybe the best linebacker crew in the country right now. Finding ways to attack this defense is extremely challenging, and it's going to keep coaches up at night. So Vanderbilt, they're not looking at any different than what we heard from Coach Beamer. There are very few weaknesses in this defense, and preparing for it is very, very tough. It's going to be an uphill challenge or an uphill battle when you get on the field against Georgia. I think they're losing sleep right now.
Scott, I'll say this, and Zeke can attest to this. When you turn on the tape, there's certain players, there's certain guys on the field, you're like, okay, we just have to admit, these guys are a little bit better than us. Or you turn on the tape. I remember there was plenty of times I've been in meetings and coaches said, all right, if we got this matchup versus this guy, you got to get rid of the football. I'm going to be honest. So I know Vandy looks at the tape and says, all right, there's no way we're going to block Jordan Davis one-on-one. So we got to find ways to get the ball out quickly. We got to find ways to, not let him ruin the game for us, because we have to be real. Georgia is and should be a much more talented ball club in a lot of spots. And I know Vanderbilt looks at it that way. They're going to come in. They're going to play hard. That's what they do. They've always done that. They won't give up. They will fight. And that's one thing And Clark Lee is the kind of coach that will make sure his team is prepared and ready to go in this ball game. The only thing that I think that Kirby really, that he stressed this week and that we saw last week, was that Georgia's giving up some big plays down the field. Now, does Vandy have enough time to really stretch the field? We'll see. But Georgia's given up 5 plays of 30-plus yards or more this season, and that's second in the SEC, only to LSU. So I know that's been a concern for Kirby going into this week, is not allowing those big plays down the field.
Let's stay with the defense for a second. If you guys were an opposing coach, how would you attack Georgia's defense?
It's tough to say, man, because I think Georgia is good enough where they can get in your face and play man coverage and play press man. And you think, if I get the ball out quickly, I play quick game, then I got a chance to not allow that defensive front to affect me. But you got some superior athletes on the outside that can shut you down. I think as fast as Georgia is, it's tough to say you got to run through the middle. I think you got to stretch Georgia out a little bit. If I was a offensive coordinator, I would say, hey, we have stuff that goes to the perimeter, screen game, stuff that keeps that defensive line running sideways, not really, north and south, and then, try to pick your spots where you can take some shots. And that's kind of the way you got to go about it. Know tendencies, know when they're going to play some zone, and then try to create some positive plays there. But I think ultimately you got to stretch Georgia out and make them run. And at the end of the day, it's just tough, though, because Z just mentioned it. That front seven can run just as good as anybody else. And you try to go sideways, they're going to run you down.
Yeah, I think you have to attack. If I'm attacking this Georgia defense, I am attacking us vertically. There is no way I'm going east and west, because our linebackers, we just run too well. I would go down the field and take shots, because driving the field with a sustained, 8, 9, 10 play drive against this defense is going to be very difficult. I would take shots, and in the running game, I would align on whoever I think the weakest link is, and I would run right at them, trying to get outside of contain. And again, anything that you do east and west, we just run so well. I would get on the attack, and I would be physical, and I would pick spots in the running game to where I can get 2 bodies on 1 person, and see if I can create just enough room and just enough doubt to force a safety down in the box. And then I would attack vertically if I've got the skill set to do it. Because anything else, the speed and the talent and the athleticism on this defense, if I'm going east and west, I don't have the same kind of athletes that Georgia does. I think that's a losing proposition.
Shock mentioned atmosphere a little bit earlier. Both of you guys have been to Nashville a lot, both as a player and otherwise. There's not always a lot of atmosphere there. It's a small stadium. We've got a noon kick. Any atmosphere provided is probably going to be from Georgia fans. It's a good opportunity for Georgia fans to have a ticket to a game in a road setting. How important is that atmosphere concept to a player? Is it noticed by them, or do they just go out there and play football?
Yeah, it is noticed. Now listen, you prepare to go out and just play football, right? And this team has done a remarkable job in doing that. And I expect that we see it, but we have seen time after time when Georgia goes to Vandy, there is a lull, and we play down to the competition, and the atmosphere has a lot to do with that. It is a small stadium. You can hear everything, so you don't get the roar of the crowd. You don't get that natural lift that a big crowd provides to you. So you've got to create that internally, and you've got to go out and be very businesslike in this football game and take care of business. But all those things that you talk about are a concern, and we have seen it come up and bite Georgia a number of times over the years. I think the real test this week is, do we play to our standard, right? What Coach Smart always talks about, what we just talked about, can we maintain that intensity when you don't have it provided with the home crowd or with the big game, or, going into environments that are going to be very hectic and chaotic. This is going to be the test, I think, this weekend. Can we provide that self-motivation and play to our standard? And it will be more challenging because of the environment.
Yeah, Scott, I'm with Z. I second it. I think it's going to be purpose driven by Kirby coming into this ball game. Obviously, he's going to have to find a way to create the juice for these guys. And you think about the first 3 ball games, they've had a lot to look forward to. I mean, the first game at Clemson in a neutral environment, prime time, night game, you knew it was going to be crazy. It was easy to get the juice for that one. Then you get UAB, first home game, 3:30. It's easy. Last game, first SEC game, nighttime, crowds going crazy. It's going to be easy. Now you go on the road. It's still an SEC opponent, but it's an early kick. So this is a whole different challenge, I think, for Kirby and his staff to get these guys ready to go. And I think that, like Z said, this is going to be a really good test to see how this team comes out and plays, because it's going to be so different from the previous 3 ball games getting ready for, and so many other variables going in. Are they ready? Will they be prepared? And can they bring their own juice and be ready to go at 11 a.m., in Nashville for their ball game? It's going to be interesting to find out. And I think Kirby will find out even more about his team going into this game, like he did the first 3 ball games, or how or who is going to actually show up and be ready to go.
So if I'm hearing you guys correctly, is the coaching staff job harder this week?
Yeah,
it absolutely is. Right? It absolutely is to get teams motivated to play. Right? It is a huge test for our coaching staff. It's a game that we should win. It's a game that we are going to win unless something catastrophic happens. But this is where everything that you talk about every single day, playing to our level of excellence, our standard, it's going to come into play here. And to keep what we've got rolling right now, it's important that you continue to go do that and you go out and execute every single week. But getting our guys up will be a challenge this week.
It's got no disrespect. They're going to turn the tape on. They're going to see, hey, this is a team that lost to East Tennessee State the first week, and it wasn't even close. And they're not going to admit it. They're not going to say it, but they're going to turn on the tape and be like, okay, this is not going to be like getting ready for South Carolina or Clemson. But they know they still have to go out and play. But in the back of their mind, they're going to be fighting that. So it's going to be tougher for the players as well. But like I said, it's going to be interesting to see which guys are ready to go. And I think Kirby will make sure these guys are ready to go, because he doesn't want anybody sneaking up on him. So the preparation will be the same. But as a former player, you absolutely know who you're playing, who they played, and how they showed up to play in those ball games.
All right, we'll be ready to go Saturday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern time. These 2 guys will be with us on Saturday morning on the Bulldog Sports Network for our coverage of Georgia and Vanderbilt. Game time is noon Eastern and 11 a.m. Central time, so we hope you can join us. Shock and Z, always great to see you, and we'll see you this weekend in Nashville. And go Dogs.
Go Dogs.
Go Dogs.